Stem changing verbs in Spanish. ¿Qué onda? They're confusing. Son difíciles de entender. Well, hopefully, by the end of this video, you will understand why verbs stem change and how we use them. So we have three main types of stem changes in Spanish. The first one is when we have E going to IE. So an example here, pensar, cerrar, entender, querer, for example. So what happens here? Well, the E, or the E, as we would say in Spanish, in the stem, which is the first little part here, the stem is basically this part right here. Okay, anything before this, okay, before the AR, okay? So in the stem becomes IE, okay? So like we had said, E becomes IE. So in this case, if we were to look at a verb like pensar, we will have now, instead of yo penso, we'll have yo pienso, and piensas, piensa. However, notice that when we get to nosotros and vosotros, there's no change. It's not piensamos or pensáis. It is just pensamos or pensáis. This is what we call the boot rule. The idea here is that in Spanish, if we were to make our little conjugation chart, right? Like we have something like o, as, a, amos, and an, and then vosotros, ais. I don't really teach vosotros, but I'm including it in today's lesson in case you're learning it. The idea here is that everything outside of this boot is not experiencing the stem change. So like we saw, these two are not going through a stem change. Okay, so that's why we call it the boot rule. Okay, so the only ones that don't go through the stem change are nosotros and vosotros. Okay, muy bien. The next common stem change that we're going to see is when we have o to ue or ue. So examples of this are poder, dormir, volver, almorzar. So to be able to sleep, to return, to have lunch. So one of the most common ones we're going to see is with the verb poder, meaning to be able to, or to can, right? Like yo puedo, I can. So once again, yo puedo, right? Tú puedes, él puede. But then we have nosotros podemos, not puedemos, okay? And then ellos pueden, okay? Once again, nosotros and vosotros fall outside of that boot. Remember, this is our boot right here, okay? Muy bien. So, yo puedo, tú puedes, él puede, and so on. So, o to ue, okay? Next is with E to I. Now, how do you know which verbs are going to stem change? The reality is, it's just being exposed to new verbs. I apologize for the motorcycle. It's being exposed to new verbs and learning, oh, okay, this one goes under the stem change. Okay, this one doesn't. And we'll see an example of an irregular here in a second. Okay, but an example from E to I would be something like pedir, servir, repetir, and seguir. So pedir is to ask for, can also be to order. Servir, to serve. Repetir, to repeat. And seguir, to follow. So in this case, with pedir, we have yo pido, tú pides, él pide. Then we have nosotros pedimos, vosotros pedís, and ellos piden. Okay? Hope this is making sense so far. Now, if a verb has two E's, the first one usually changes. So in this case, preferir has two E's. Okay? Empezar has two E's. Recomendar has two E's. So in this case, the first E will change. Okay, so prefiero here, okay, instead of prefero. Excuse me, the second E. I don't know why I put the first there. Second E. Okay, and in this case, empiezo, recomiendo. Okay, so second E changes. I apologize for that. Okay, muy bien. Like I said, the boot pattern. Okay, so we have the stem change in the yo, tú, él, ella, usted, and ellos, ellas, ustedes form, but not in the vosotros or nosotros. Okay, like I said, if you drew it on a conjugation chart, it would be in a boot shape like I showed you. Now, a special case is with the common verb jugar. So in this case, jugar actually goes from you to ue. So instead of yo jugo, we have yo juego. The reason we do this is because jugo in Spanish means juice. Okay? I don't know why I wrote that J so weird. Okay, so a quick summary. Stem changing verbs change their vowel, not their ending. Okay, so the ending doesn't change and the meaning doesn't change, but the vowel does. The changes happen in every form except nosotros and vosotros, and the four main patterns are from E to EI to IE, O to UE, E to I, and U to UE. Well, I hope this helped you. I hope this saved you some time, saved you some headache. Muchas gracias por ver este video. If you have questions, leave a comment on this video. You can also send me an email at support@SpanishWithNate.com. And if you'd like to learn more Spanish with me, click the link in the video description to check out our Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy. Our goal is to help you have a 10-minute conversation in Spanish in 90 days without feeling unconfident. So you can check it out by clicking the link in the video description. Muchas gracias. Hasta luego.